Hey Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into today's Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's not a lot going on in terms of the National Football League, in terms of actual headlines, right? But there are some things happening with your Pittsburgh Steelers we need to go ahead and jump into as training camp is... today's the 13th? It's just a couple of weeks away, and that's when the news really starts to kick in. But let's first go ahead and start with an article I read yesterday about free agents that are left out there. We talked a lot about free agents here on the channel and people you could trade for, people you could sign. But really, there are three main free agents that make the most sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now that they let go and cut David DeCastro, they have $13 million in free cap space. You sit back and you go, geez, $13 million in free cap space, it's a lot of money. You could go out and sign any one of these key free agents left on the market. And so I wanted to give you a quick list to start the show today about some possible free agents that you could look at. Now, a caveat, let me just say this is important. The Steelers don't have to sign anybody. I think the roster is pretty darn good, as we all know. But if you wanted a little bit of an upgrade, or if during training camp, heaven forbid, an injury happens, these are the guys that to me would make the most sense as likely names that you could go ahead and sign. Let's start with the three, right? Just throw them out there. Justin Houston, of course, I've talked a lot about Justin Houston, big fan. I know he's on the wrong side of 30, but in the past 2 years with the Indianapolis Colts, played in all 32 games. Every free agent who's available right now has missed time due to injuries, essentially. It's why they're free agents, except for Houston. He is a beast. 8 sacks each the last couple of years. I would love for him to go ahead and be added to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do they need another pass rusher? Probably not. Would they like another pass rusher? Every single football team would. So we throw up there Justin Houston. How about Richard Sherman? We talked about the number 2 cornerback spot here on the Pittsburgh Steelers and how we feel pretty confident, but how much longer does Joe Hayden have? Now the question does say, how much longer does Richard Sherman have? Sherman is, a little bit of an older cornerback, but an option nonetheless, especially he wants to play for a winning franchise in a winning place to play DB. And then the offensive line, which is the big question mark in Pittsburgh going into this offseason. We feel like it's good to go, and there's been a lot of high praise so far for the guys that they've added, but Russell Okung is an option if you were to get to training camp and, someone on the right or left side wouldn't perform at the level that you wanted them to, and so you could bring in Okung for some competition as well. My thought process on this is, no, they don't need to sign somebody, but why not sign someone? If you go out and interview Justin Houston and bring him in for a workout and he performs really, really well and he would be cheap, less than $13 million, probably 7, 8, or 9, why not? Because you think about this. If you sign somebody, you can just bring him in, create a competition. If he turns out on a 1-year deal to be a beast, fantastic. It was a great deal. If he turns out to not be that great, it's a 1-year deal. You're not tied to him anything longer than this season. That's big overall for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, one thing I do want to mention, how the cap space and how NFL contracts works. If you were to sign somebody today, you're basically guaranteeing that contract for at least this year, right? You sign them to a 1-year deal, it's essentially guaranteed. Now, there are always outs, for personal issues, running with the law, but essentially you sign Justin Houston today, his contract is guaranteed. If you wait till at the end of training camp and after week 1 of the regular season, his contract is not necessarily as guaranteed. You can kind of get it more on a game-by-game basis. So you could see Okung, Sherman, Justin Houston have to wait a little bit longer, maybe even the start of the season for a team like Pittsburgh to sign them. That way, Pittsburgh has a more financially friendly addition because you're only paying him on a game-by-game basis. If an injury were to occur, if they weren't performing, you can get out of that contract a lot easier than if you sign him right now. So there are options out there. That's the important thing to go ahead and note, but I do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers should go ahead and look to sign another player. And I'll ask you guys this, right? Do the Steelers need to sign another player? If you think they do, type Y down below for yes. If they do not, type N down below for no. I want to quickly, though, throw up the Justin Houston stats from last year because they are important to note, right? This is what happened in 2020. All 16 games, 8 sacks. TJ Watt had 15 last year. Imagine somebody next to him also having 8 sacks from a rotational defensive end standpoint. Houston did rotate in there with the rest of the Colt pass rushers. The guy is pretty darn good. Now, you flip over to Richard Sherman. Sherman, to me, is the least likely of this list, but you do technically get you some depth at cornerback, and Sherman did play well at times before he had a lower leg and an ankle injury, foot injury, back there in 2020. But as we mentioned with the cornerback depth chart, I think that there's some room for a veteran, and whether you want to have somebody to grow the younger cornerbacks in there, just be a depth piece as well. Sherman wants to play for a winner. There are reports he wants to return to Seattle, which would make sense. But if he wanted to go to the AFC and give the Pittsburgh Steelers a try and play at Heinz Field, why not go ahead and come down to Pittsburgh? And then, of course, Russell Okung only played in 7 games last season due to injury. Only allowed 3 sacks, though, in those 7 games. Okung remains one of the better free agent tackles left on the market. Out of all the 3, I could see Okung being a training camp addition. If you get to training camp, you get to joint practices or even preseason, and the offensive line is not playing as well as you would hope that they could, you could bring somebody in like a Russell Okung. Now, again, Will they sign any one of these guys? Who knows, right? We really have no idea. I would say not unless we get through the season and someone gets injured. But if you want to know options, I give you options here today to go ahead and start our show. All you pick one of the three. Who would you rather have if you had a choice between Justin Houston, Richard Sherman, or Russell Okung? Type JH for Justin Houston. Go ahead and type RS for Richard Sherman and RO for Russell Okung. All right, now it's time for a part of the show where I tell you guys to subscribe to the channel. And you're probably watching saying, Thomas, I'm subscribed. If you are subscribed, then carry on. We appreciate you. But if you're here and you're not a subscriber, you're new to the Steelers Talk YouTube channel, welcome. I'm Thomas. Of course, I'm going to host this channel and cover the Steelers for you. But if you want to help us out, all you got to do is hit the red button, right? Subscribe, like, and that way we can go ahead and grow the channel even greater into further heights. We approach 3,000 subs, trying to get there by training camp. So help us out. Like the channel, go down below and hit that button. All right, I want to move into another story here on our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video, and that is Najee Harris. Now, we've talked about Najee Harris, right? You think about, okay, 24th overall draft pick, they need a running back, can the offensive line create holes? Those are all questions that we talked about here on the show. However, there are some new betting odds that have been released in terms of Najee Harris and the Rookie of the Year campaign, which becomes a very big reality right now, and even more so based on the new odds released by Las Vegas, where Vegas is saying that Najee Harris has incredible odds to go ahead and win the Rookie of the Year award, which is crazy because there are a lot of good rookies. We'll show you guys in just one second. But as he enters training camp, the hype around him is very real. He's the very, very clear-cut number one running back, and the question is not going to be if he is going to be good, it's when and how quickly he can be up to the Alabama level that he was, or just a number one running back level in the National Football League. Now, we mentioned the odds, and the odds are pretty interesting, right? Throw this up. VegasInsider.com, so basically, whatever Vegas is saying right now. Here are your Rookie of the Year on offensive odds. Trevor Lawrence is 1. Surprise, he's a quarterback. 2, though, is Najee Harris. And here's the thing, right? So Trevor Lawrence is number 1 as a quarterback. You would think that quarterbacks would be number 1 because they have the highest likelihood of winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. But Harris is ahead of Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson. And he's not a quarterback. Like, he's sitting there as a running back. He has plus 500 odds right now. I think they were 6-1 odds versus or 5-1 odds versus the Trevor Lawrence 3-1 odds to go ahead and win this thing. It tells you that Vegas is taking note of the rookie running back in Pittsburgh who could have an incredibly impressive year. Listen, Harris is primed for a big year. All the odds are in his favor. Coming over to Pittsburgh with a good young offensive coordinator in Matt Canada, with a veteran quarterback in Big Ben Roethlisberger, who seems very serious about his health and very serious about winning in potentially his final year. Weapons on the outside, a retooled offensive line. I mean, you got to figure that out. A great defense to learn against in training camp. All of the stars to me have aligned for Harris to go ahead and have a big year, and I'm pumped to see what he can do in Pittsburgh. Now, in terms of a big rookie year, what does that mean? I thought about this. I said, we've seen a lot of rookie running backs play pretty darn well in their rookie years because a lot of times, a wide receiver comes into the NFL and they struggle as a rookie. A DB comes into the NFL, they struggle as a rookie. Pass rushers can have an instant impact. Obviously, offensive linemen can have an instant impact, but running backs as well, their rookie years tend to be a lot better than other rookie positions. Look at these numbers, right? Here are some of the best rookie seasons from recent history. Zeke Elliott was fantastic in 2016, 1,600 yards. Then you got a guy like Alfred Morris back in 2012 with Washington. He was great. He had 1,600 rushing yards as well. Remember Saquon Barkley in 2018? He was a beast, 1,300 yards. And then Todd Gurley in 2015, he had over 1,000 yards. And so when you think about what Najee Harris could potentially do and give you during a rookie campaign, 1,000 yards rushing is not, an impossibility. Whereas if you were to ask like Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith, the rookie receivers for the Bengals, rookie receivers for Philadelphia, well, they have 1,000 yards receiving. A lot less likely than Najee Harris having 1,000 yards rushing, and that's why, again, Vegas comes out here and gives Harris not only better odds than the rookie wide receivers, but the second best odds in the entire NFL behind, of course, one Trevor Lawrence, who we all expect to have a pretty darn good year because he, of course, is Trevor Lawrence. All right. Let me end on this. Let me just go ahead and throw this question out here. Over, under 800 rushing yards for Harris in 2021, right? Over, he probably gets to 1,000. Under, it's kind of a disappointing year. You type O down below for over. I think he's going to be under 1,000 or 800 yards. Go ahead and type U down below for under. I think he's going to have 800 yards. And I think it depends on him. I think it depends on the offensive line. The offensive line plays well, definitely over 800 yards. If he plays worse, then, or they play bad, then maybe right around 800 yards. I'd be shocked if he has less than 800 yards, though. And I think he'd be a big-time fantasy pickup for your fantasy football team as well. But give me your thoughts, O for over, U down below for under. I want to end on a super fun story here. This seems to be a theme we keep doing on the channel as Steelers keep getting engaged, right? Last week it was TJ Watt getting engaged, and this week it is Dwayne Haskins who is officially tying the knot, or I guess I should say is going to be tying the knot because he is engaged, not married yet, but he is engaged to his longtime girlfriend, and I am blanking on her name right now, but you see the picture up on your screen. Darren Hayes has this tweet right now. Look at that ring. I mean, goodness gracious. That is... let's just say it's probably not cheap, right? What are the 4Ks? I don't know. I'm not engaged. But the 4Ks: cut, carrot, quality, and that's not even a K word. Something else. I don't know. You can tell I haven't gotten an engagement ring yet. Obviously, not in that area right now. But congrats to Dwayne Haskins, who had a very tough last year, had a girlfriend the entire time, and now is trying to, well, not only start a family because he's gotten engaged, but potentially win the backup quarterback job. We'll keep an eye on that during training camp as that gets closer and closer here on our Steelers Talk video. All right, go ahead and spam congrats down below. Just to go and congratulate Dwayne Haskins. Give the video a thumbs up for our guy getting engaged. Pump for him. Pump for that ring as well. That's some nice stuff right there. You gotta make sure it's sure that, right? Ultimate for today, though, on our Pittsburgh Steelers Talk video today. Keep getting plenty more videos in the upcoming days and weeks, so stay tuned for that. For the channel, I'm Thomas Mott signing off for the rest of your day.